Live from the J.C. Newman Cigar Studios and the Gurkha Cigar Studios in the great state of New Hampshire. Welcome to the Smokin Tabacco Show with your hosts, Matt Tobacco and Pat Chamberlain.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Smokin Tabacco Show. My name is Matt Tobacco from SmokinTabacco.com, and I'm joined once again by my good friend and co-host, Mr. Pat Chamberlain. Pat, how are you? Uh-oh, I can't hear you. I think you're muted.
I keep forgetting my stuff's muted every time.
Damn it, Pat. What are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I guess I remembered to unmute myself again, and you didn't.
Yeah, I won't make it 3 times in a row. I won't do it on Saturday.
You won't do it on Saturday?
I won't.
I'm gonna. You heard it here first. Yeah, we will be back. Which reminds me, let me say, we will be back Saturday night for Spare Notes with the one, the only, the legend, Mr. William Cooper of cigar-coop.com. Oh, that's what that is. Sorry. But for now, sorry, I'm confused as to what I have here. Oh, I see. All right, never mind. Don't mind me. I'm just feeling a little stupid today. Anyway, welcome to an episode of the Smokin Tabacco Show. We do have a guest with us tonight, and I'll bring him on in a second. But yeah, I wanted to mention that, yeah, Spare Notes back 8 p.m. Eastern this Saturday night. Long show, so make sure you guys are ready for that one. This one might go late. And we have a lot to talk about, both business-wise, legal-wise, fun stuff, annoying stuff, axes to grind, everything. It's all going to be there. So make sure you guys tune in for Spare Notes on Saturday night. It's going to be a good one. So other than that, I don't think I have really any other new announcements to make. So yeah, we're good. Let me bring in our guest. He is formerly of Plasencia Cigars. He's been on the show a few times in multiple ways, for those who remember, and he's done some interesting stuff with us over the years. So it's great to have him back. Although he's with a new team now, he represents PDR Cigars. Shout out to Abe Flores, who's a great dude. It's Mr. Wayne Clark from PDR Cigars. Let's bring him right on here. Wayne, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, guys? What's happening?
Oh, just a Wednesday night, show night, smoking cigars. And
beautiful, beautiful Wednesday night. I'm sure the weather is amazing up there in New Hampshire right now.
Oh, it is. It's perfect.
It's
fall.
my favorite time of year in New England, fall. You can't beat it. I mean, you know that. It's impossible to beat it. And secondly, it's football season, baby. Let's go Pats. Let's go Pats. And yeah, I love New England this time of year. I wish I was up there. I'm in Austin, Texas right now. And let me just say, it's hot as balls here today. It's like 90. I think it was 95. It's hot. So I could go for some of that New England weather right about now.
Yeah, New England weather is you never know what you're gonna get, as you know. But in the fall, it's usually not bad. It really is like summer is great because it's not cold, and that's about all there is to that. It's just that it's not cold. But and it's nice. I mean, summertime, when it's nice out, people go out and they do things. But yeah, I mean, the fall is the best. It's perfect.
Hands down, it's the best season in New England by far, because it's when you can actually do things. The tourists aren't messing everything up.
Yeah.
So you can actually go out. You can drive through Conway in 10 minutes instead of 3 hours. Or where I'm from in Maine, you can actually go to the coast and not get inundated with all of my favorite people from Massachusetts and New York, and all the people blocking the roadways. You can actually enjoy it. It's fun.
Well, sometimes you get the people from New York that come up here and they leave Pete, but they usually go deeper north. They usually go much higher north. Down here, it's not as bad on the southern border. But yeah, it is. It really is, and it's football season. It's Sunday is Saturday's college football. Sunday's NFL. I don't watch it as much anymore just because it's just kind of gone downhill. But Sunday also used to be NASCAR day for me, but not so much anymore. And it's just perfect living free up here in New Hampshire, living free. But anyway, we're going to talk about what we're smoking tonight on the show. Brought to you by our friends at the number 2 guyscigars.com. That's right, the number 2 guyscigars.com. Head over there today for an amazing selection of cigars and cigar accessories from brands you know and love, and maybe a few new ones. Head over there today, order some cigars, order some accessories from the number 2 guyscigars.com. Wayne, as our guest, I'm going to let you go first. What are you smoking with us?
I am smoking the PDR. This is the SP52 Rosado. It's a blend, beautiful blend with some Nicaraguan, some Ecuadorian, and Dominican tobacco in it. Incredible. I love it.
Yeah. Abe's, one thing I'll say, and we'll get into this later, is, Abe is, he's always done a really great job with a lot of the blends that he's made, and he makes a lot of cigars for other people too. I'll shout out Pat's in the Gurkha Cigar Studios. I know that he makes the Gurkha Ghost Gold. And that's probably one of my favorite Gurkha cigars that they make. I mean, it's a great cigar. And I'll never forget, I was with Abe, and we were in Vegas at a trade show one year, and we were at a lounge. It might have been 8 Lounge, and they had them. And he was standing next to me, and he was like, I make that. I was like, oh, no shit, really? He's like, yep. I was like, I love that cigar. He's like, I make that.
Yeah, we make a lot of different cigars for a lot of different people, and we hide pretty well. We hide that fact pretty well.
Sorry, didn't mean to call you out.
We want our brands to stand out, But very proud to be smoking this SP52 amazing cigar. Check it out. If it's in a retailer near you, grab it. If it's not, ask for it.
That's right. Ask your local retailer, as we always say for everything. Ask your local retailer for whatever you see on the show, and if they don't have it, tell them to get it. Pat, what are you smoking with us tonight?
So, I apologize because it's not a PDR. Usually I go out and I pick up some cigars before the show. I've been in trial all week, so I haven't had a life. So I'm smoking a Steve Saka Bewitched right now.
Oh.
Honestly, because it was the thing that it was on top of my humidor. It took no effort to get out. I just grabbed it. Unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of time to prep for this one because of my work schedule. But otherwise, I'd be smoking a PDR right now.
And I am smoking. I was fortunate enough for Wayne to send me a few test samples of some stuff they're working on. So I'm smoking something unbanded that I don't know what it is, and something that they're working on. And so far, it's nice. It's nice. It's on the milder side, but it's got a little bit of spice up front. I'm very excited to see how this develops. So thank you. It's always exciting to try new things. And as always, our cutters and lighters are brought to you by our friends at SC Dupont. We shake up the legacy here at Smokin Tabacco, and I have one of the newest, if not the absolute newest product that SC Dupont has released, and that is the new Defi Extreme Windproof Soft Flame Lighter. I don't know how well you can see that, but this just shipped. This just came out. Fantastic lighter. I was skeptical, at first, but it holds up pretty well, actually. It's interesting technology. It's a soft flame, but there is a blue flame by way of. I know Les is going to call me after this too if I get this wrong, but I believe the way that it's made is that there's a small jet-like burner of blue flame that's inside the standard yellow flame, which helps it to stay lit and not go out. Either way, whatever it is, SC Dupont's always been great with their technology and their innovations. That's why they shake up the legacy. Ask your local retailers today for SC Dupont and the new Windproof Defi Extreme. Alrighty, Wayne, it's good to see you, brother. Great to have you back on the show.
It's good to be back, man.
Last
it's good
time,
to be back. I think.
You go ahead.
I think
No,
the
go ahead.
last time I was on with y'all, the last time I was on with y'all, I brought a buddy with me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Something a little different for was it Spare Notes that we did?
No, it was this show. Because
Oh, was this show? Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. That was, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I think. So
I think it was. That was before I moved to New Hampshire. So that was at least 2 years ago. Might have been 2 years ago. I think it was, because I think it was also around the time that Nicole was pregnant with Anastasia. So I'm pretty sure that's where. So yeah, it was probably like 2023, and that was an interesting show. That was great. It was musically driven. The episode is out there. And I like doing different stuff like that. So any opportunity we get, we always kind of jump on that, because it's fun to shake it up and do something different.
yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was, and thank you again for that too. Really, I mean, you presented me with an idea, and I'm like, yes, yes, let's do this. I'm like a guy who thinks outside the box.
So, you know, something that that's not 100% cigars all the time. You know, I mean, I could talk about cigars all day, every day. But that was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So,
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And Pat's the same way. Once you get Pat going, I mean, Pat sometimes he comes across as quiet, but when you get him going, man, sometimes it's hard to get him to stop. You know, he really knows his stuff. It's one of the things that's great about him too, is he really does. He knows a lot more than you think he would. He's very well educated in this business. But you know, he's had good mentorship by way of Kurt Kendall. So he's learned from a master. But yeah, no, it was great. And you know, now here you are. You come back on the show, which it's great to have you on again. But you know, you're kind of playing for a new team now, so that's a little different. I guess it's, you know, kind of the same old thing, but you know, you're with a new company now, and you're doing some different things. So obviously, you know, we want to hear all about it. I mean, PDR is a company that, you know, we always visit them at the show. We always come by the booth and kind of, you know, check out what they got going on. And you know, I know you guys do a lot of things, and obviously probably mostly focus on your own stuff as well. But just kind of, you know, what's going on with PDR these days? You know, what's new? Are you guys working on? Is anything you guys doing different? You know, what's kind of the update with PDR cigars?
Yeah, no, well, thanks for asking. And again, thanks for having me on. You know, it's been obviously I spent almost 7 years with my prior company. So that was, you know, a long period of time, and making this switch has been a lot of fun and a lot of excitement. Of course, I'm coming into a different role than just a rep role. You know, I now have the whole country. I'm the VP of the company. So that comes with a lot of different facets, and it also gives me a lot of opportunity to make changes and do new and exciting things, and really build the brand to where I know it should be as a company. And a couple of things that we're working on. I mean, obviously, I came on board July 1st, so I'm just about 2 months, a little over 2 months into my new role here. So I've been traveling around the country. I think I've been home a total of maybe 5-6 days since I started. And my whole goal is travel around the country and listen to retailers, get their feedback, hear what they're saying. I call it a listening tour. And I'm sitting there with retailers, listening to their ideas, listening to their what they have to say, number one, about the brand, but also number two, for ideas where they'd like to see the brand go. And that's been a lot of fun, getting an opportunity to sit with retailers and listen to that feedback. Because a lot of times what I think happens is cigar companies, you know, they have reps all over the country, right? And a lot of times they'll say they're listening, but they're not hearing what's being said. Yeah. So it's, we'll go out, we'll hear what they say, we'll listen to what they say, okay, whatever, and then we're going to do our own thing. But my whole goal in the last 2.5 months really has been to listen to retailers, get their feedback, and then implement those pieces little by little, and then incorporate their ideas into what we're doing, because ultimately that's the most important thing, right? I may have an amazing idea, But at the end of the day, if it's not going to work in retail, there's really no point. So that's what we've been working on. I've been traveling around the country, obviously seeing old familiar faces, but also a lot of new faces. Another piece of that is that we did add a new master blender. Our new factory manager, he's actually, I say new, he's been with us about a year now. He came over from another very well-known factory, very well-known established brand. And he brought a lot of ideas with him. And that's great because now we have Jorge Nunez in the factory overseeing the whole operation. He's taking care of, he's revamped our quality control processes. He's revamped some of the blends. He's working closely with Abe and myself to come out with new products. So we have a great dynamic there with the factory. And then of course we have Enrique in our office who's holding down the fort while I travel around like a crazy man. So we have a really great team that we haven't necessarily had in the past. And I'm really proud of the work that we're doing on a daily basis to bring the brand back to consumers and bring it back to the forefront, back to the prominence that we had in the early to mid 2000s. It's really exciting. It's super exciting. So you'll see a lot of innovation coming from PDR. You'll see a lot of presence on shelves. You're gonna see a big splash over the course of the next 6 months to really bring PDR back to our core roots and bring us back to who we are as a company and of course in front of consumers as well. It's a really exciting time.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned Jorge Nunez, and I know Jorge Nunez, and I won't say, but I know where he came from, and I met him when he was there, down there, and he knows what he's doing. So that's I remember I saw you guys had him over there. I was like, oh wow, I'm like that's a great guy. I mean he really knows how things are supposed to go. That's all I'll say.
Yes.
So he's very well trained.
Very well trained. He learned from some of the best in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in the industry almost 30 years.
Yeah.
So of course, he learned. He was with General Cigar for a great period of time, and then another company after that. Now with us, it's pretty awesome to have him as part of the team. I love picking his brain. He's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to tobaccos, and of course he's doing all of our tobacco selection. He's handling the blending. Every piece of the process is factory related, and he's an overall badass when it comes to tobacco. It's pretty exciting. And the other thing too is having him combined with Abe's knowledge, because Abe has obviously been around the industry for a very long time.
Yep.
And has a very unique way of blending and the processes that we use. And then, of course, having me on board with my retail knowledge, it's a hell of a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun. And to see the direction that we're going in, it's really exciting. So just happy to be working hard.
Yeah, it's always good to shake things up, change things around, get some new people, some new ideas, new faces, new perspectives. We've seen a lot of that, over the years with companies. Some of them, they make big changes and it turns around for them. Others, maybe not so much. It's, and that's not to say that it's what's the word I'm looking to use here? Predisposed to be to fail. But it's just sometimes it's tricky. It is. So doing what you guys all do every day. I mean, I think to some, I'm not going to say everybody, but to some people, I think it seems easy, but it's really not. I mean, there's a lot of different strings to pull. There's a lot of different things to juggle. Everyone has to do their job. Everything has to fire the same way, because you could be doing a fantastic job, but if it's not happening in the factory, your job's kind of like pointless, because nobody's going to want to do business. So, and then vice versa, like you guys could be like putting out great stuff, and then if you're not doing your job, well, no one's even going to know about it. So everyone really has to work together, and that's why having a solid team, like all the way from the top all the way to the bottom and everything in between, it's always going to be perfect, full execution. So
it's important to know, and it's important to recognize, right, that everybody has a piece in this puzzle. So literally everybody has to come together, like you just said, Matt. Everybody has to come together for everything to work. So if one piece is missing in that wheel, you're in a lot of trouble. I
Yeah.
mean, if one thing isn't working, um, then you lose it on the other side, right? So everybody has a piece in that overall machine, and everything has to be working correctly in order for you to really succeed as a company. And I feel like I came here after almost 7 years with Placencia. My standards, as you can imagine, my minimum standard is way up here.
Yeah.
Um, and Jorge, and you know where his standard is.
Oh, yes, I
So
do.
and you add that with Abe's standards, you put us together. We're all on the same page as a unit, um, and that's really important in a lot of in any organization, right? If everybody has to be doing their individual job, from the guy who's sweeping the floors all the way up through the president of the company, everybody has a role to play. Um, and if everybody's playing that role, the win will come at the end. And you can produce amazing things. But if everybody's not on the same page, if everybody's not unified in the goal and the vision and the direction, then it's really hard to maintain and really hard to break out and do anything. I look at 20 years of Patriots excellence, right? And Bill Belichick every day, do your job, do your job, do your job, right? Well, if somebody messed up, then the team didn't win. So we all have to work together as a team. It's not anybody's one individual effort. It's literally all of us working hard together to lift each other up and get to the next level. And that's the key.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I fully agree. Now, you mentioned bringing PDR back to prominence, prominence that it had in the 2000s. Outside of your team, which it sounds like you've done a great job of putting together, in terms of the cigars, the portfolio, are you looking to kind of like go through it and shake things up a bit, cut some things out, bring some new stuff in, any special limited edition products or anything like what's kind of like the idea for what you have on your plate right now and what you want to do with it?
Yeah. So the first thing that I did when I came on board is I looked at the overall portfolio and different lines, different SKUs, different vitolas, and looked at that versus the numbers we were selling. Of course, we have a massive European following as well. So, and Abe is actually at Inner Tobacco right now. But there's two sides to that coin. We have the U.S. business, and then we have the European business. And I have to oversee all things sales related, all things company related for both sides of that. Well, what's interesting is the SKUs that move in Europe are not necessarily the SKUs that move here in the States. So my first order of business was to look at our entire portfolio, and our price sheet was 3 pages long. And day one, I cut it down to 1 page. I just cut off a bunch of stuff, cut it down to 1 page, make it easier for retailers, make it easier to sell, make it easier to understand and comprehend. Because even I, with all of my experience in the industry, I looked at it and said, this is way too confusing. So I streamlined the process there. I've streamlined the processes for uh, bringing in the product to retailers, our shipping process, how we get the product to customers, and then also maintaining our inventory level and projections in the factory. Because if you don't have the factory side of things backing up your inventory levels, then it's going to be back order city all the time, all the time, all the time. So we had to get a handle on all of that and put it on the right track. So that was order of business number one. My last trip to the DR, I sat with Jorge and we came up with some objectives for 2026. I'm going back to the DR at the end of this month, the first week of October, to come up with some new projects for PCA 2026. So my goal is to have a couple of new products available for 2026. That'll be new and exciting, something that PDR hasn't done in the past. Um, innovation is huge for me. Um, we have to really focus on innovation because the biggest question on people's minds all the time is what's new. They go into a humidor, what's new, what's new, what's new. Well, if you don't have anything new, sometimes you fall to the back of that queue, and they just go for the new stuff. So you always have to be innovating. You always have to be improving. You always have to be making changes, and that's what we're really focused on at this point. It's going to be an exciting year. I'm really stoked.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, and Pat could probably touch on this too, being in the retail store with his experience. You know, when people ask about, what's new, and I feel like it's not really a new concept. That's what I'll kind of preface this with. However, having said that, in the last several years, maybe as far back as maybe 10 years, but especially the last like 6-7 years, I feel like that has just become so amplified and so much more aggressive, and with the addition of so many more smaller brands and some smaller brands that have kind of bumped up and grown to like good mid-tier size brands. You have a lot more competition. You have the same amount of shelf space in stores, and people are constantly, what's new? Even as media guys, people expect us to try everything. And I try to tell people, like, when they're like, oh, you didn't try our cigar? And I'm like, look, it's you and 300, 400 of your peers out there that are like, did you try it? Did you try it? And some of you guys got 5 new cigars. Some of you got 3. Some of you got 1. I can't, nobody smokes all of them. I mean, I think the boys at Half Wheel do a pretty damn good job. Coop does a pretty damn good job too, but I don't think anybody actually smokes all of them.
I think it'd be really difficult to smoke all of them.
Yeah.
And the other piece of that is, a lot of times I go to PCA, and we're sort of in our own little world when we go to PCA within our booth, or dealing with the clients that we work with and things like that. But once in a while, you get a chance to get out and walk around, and you get to see what's out there. You get to see the new products. You get to see the new companies, and you guys experience this way more than I would, being stuck in the booth. But all these new companies that come out every year, brand new ones, new products, new lines, and then how many of those products are gone in a year or even 2 years, right? They don't have staying power.
Right.
And it's not because the cigar's not good. It's just that a lot of times you come into the industry with a perception that, oh yeah, I can do this, right? It's a lot easier than it looks. It's not. It's a really hard process to have staying power in a humidor. So for that, I'm incredibly thankful that PDR has had the staying power that we have for the last 20 years. Every legacy has a beginning, and ours started 20 years ago, and we're blessed in the sense that people are still going for our cigars. They're still coming for our cigars, but they still want that innovation. And I'm not going to be the guy that's going to throw 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 new cigars at you every single year. That's ludicrous. But what I am going to do is make sure that we're coming out with stuff that's exciting, it's new, it keeps you relevant, it keeps you in the blogs, it keeps you in the media sphere, it keeps you in the mind of retailers, but also in the mind of consumers, because they're going to try that new stuff, but they're also going to keep going back to the standards. And you have to balance both. You can't put all of your eggs in the new basket. You have to balance both sides, and I think a lot of companies forget that too, especially new companies. They want new before they establish their baseline, and you got to establish your baseline before you go for something new. We're blessed in the sense that over the last 20 years we have a pretty solid core, and now we have the opportunity to expand and do exciting things. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's funny. I started thinking about this as you were saying that, and it kind of something came to mind. The last 2 years, I've seen like a small number of like new brands kind of emerge and kick off and start. And in that same 2 years, I've seen them release several cigars, most of them core line, but also a few limited editions. And I'm like, sometimes that's not always the way. You can't like just debut, as a small brand, really unheard of, if you're a guy like, I don't want to use examples, but because, and there's plenty of them, but there's guys that work for big companies and then like they go and they start their own brand, right? like a Steve Saka, a Nick Melillo, Rick Rodriguez, Mickey Peg, you know, a little different. People know them, so they kind of, when they show up like, hey, it's me. It's like, oh, and people kind of buy into it a little bit easier because they already kind of know the person. But when you're like unheard of and you show up at a brand, and in your first like 18 months, you already have like, I've gotten 5 new product announcements and like 2 limited edition announcements. I'm like, that's kind of a lot. You can't always, but at the same time, you kind of look around at, like, even what the established brands are doing, you're like, I feel like it's kind of expected. And so it puts some of these younger new brands in a tight spot, because I think business wise, I think that, you should have a couple of SKUs and you build on that and you kind of get yourself established. You don't start trying to do LEs and all this. But at the same time, it's kind of like everyone, they come to you and like, well, do you have anything special? And it's like, I just started, but, and people are asking for it. And it's like, it's tough. The whole model of the way people buy now is just, it's kind of crazy.
It's a balancing act.
Yeah, Pat, what were you going to say?
I can add like my perspective of that as well, and I won't name the companies, but some smaller companies that have been fairly new I've had discussions with, and I'm talking like you're very small, like no connections to anyone big,
right?
Kind of grassroots cigar companies, and I think a lot of the problem really comes down to when it comes to, at least it's easy to do a limited release in the sense that you don't have a lot of buying power. So if you're trying to, create like a fundamental core line, it's tough because a lot of these smaller, new, I even want to call them companies. It's kind of like I want to say it's like a mod pod type thing, right? But, but we're talking about the brands that kind of come and go. They don't have the buying power to buy a lot of tobacco, and, they don't have a factory. They don't have means. They're using people that might kind of I don't want to say take cigar orders, but they're not really at home in that factory. So I think it's difficult to have a core line that you have, assurances that you're going to replicate that core line cigar. So I think the easiest thing to do is, you buy what you can for a blend, however much tobacco it is, make cigars, sell them. Hopefully the next year you go back to the drawing board, make another one. And, and obviously we've talked about this on the show, and it's, core line cigars are the most essential part of, as you were saying, your roots. Like, you have to have something that tethers you to a humidor, and that's always going to be core line. Like, we talk currently, like a lot of brands, I think especially the last 2 years, have been releasing a lot of limited editions and just new cigars. But the brands who are doing it well have prominent core line cigars that are constantly being reached to on the shelf. And you have to have it. Like, I can't think of any. My theory is that the brands who make limited edition onlys are the ones that end up in those like limited cigar monthly subscription packs that has a band on it. Like, oh, this cigar has got 10 years of age on it. We found it in a factory like hunting in Nicaragua, and no one's seen this thing before. And that's why it's there, because it's just it's one of those core line only, non-core line brands who made cigars, and they died because it's not a key success. And I think that's also kind of one of the difficult things in this industry that I think me as a young person kind of can critique in a way, is it's really difficult to start from square one a cigar company.
Oh, sure.
It's and I wish more of these small guys would guys like would succeed, because it's tough, and you have to have connections. And I mean, there's some success stories that we've heard of. I mean, for instance, like Rocky didn't come from tobacco. I know his name was mentioned earlier in the show, and he made it work. But I think currently, whether it's a mix of the regulations going on, it's hard to do that. So, but to loop it all around, I think that's why we see young guys doing limiteds only, because that's the most feasible thing for someone.
Well, it's definitely an easier barrier of entry for sure. I mean, when you think about it, if you can go to a factory and let's say you buy 5,000 cigars, 4,000 cigars, right? That's a whole lot easier than saying, okay, now I need to make I need to make 20,000 cigars of each different SKU, right, to get a true contract blend or a true contract core line cigar. You're talking big money at that point. You got to have the money to invest. But it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword with these LEs because there are brands out there that survive specifically on LEs. I couldn't even tell you what their core line is, but it works for them. It works. So, but they get that hit of capital and then it goes away, and then they have to go back and do it again. They get that hit, and then they have to go back and do it all over again. Right? Some companies have multi-year limited editions, so they'll release something in October, they'll release something in July, right? So their core line is their annual release for their particular company. So that model is a little bit different. It's tough, we have to balance that with the core line is what pays the bills, and then once those bills are paid, I get to play with other stuff, and that's where the fun comes in. The core lines are amazing. I love them to death, but that's what allows you to go out and do that limited edition, buy that special tobacco, buy that special wrapper that you can only find in the rarest place in Brazil or whatever it might be, right? The core line is what gives you the money and also the foundation to be able to do the rest of that stuff. And for me, that's a lot of fun too. It's a lot of fun. Get to play.
You get to be creative, let the juices
Exactly.
flow. Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
that's the thing. Sometimes you see like these LEs, and it's like they just don't feel special. Sometimes, it just feels like, oh, like someone just wanted to say like, I got 1,000 boxes of this, and like it's limited. So, but it's like, yeah, but what makes it really special? What's cool about it? What's different about it? Is there a story?
It's limited because they only rolled 1,000 boxes.
Exactly.
They only made 1,000 boxes. It's an artificial limited. Now I get it in the sense that, okay, yeah, well, this is a limited edition. We're going to run it once. Great. If it's a special tobacco, if it's a special fermentation process, if it's a special aging process, things like that. All right, awesome. You can't do that in large numbers. You got to keep it on a smaller scale. But if you say that something's limited edition and then it's available every single year, or multiple times per year, or pretty much order at any time, that takes the special out of it. It's not limited anymore. It's artificially limited
Exactly.
until you need more money. So
Yeah,
it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword in that case.
yeah,
But
And I've
absolutely.
noticed that, like a lot
We're
in the
excited.
humidor. So I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead, bud.
So I was just saying, I've seen a lot of that in the humidor too, where it's a limited edition cigar, and I mean the tobacco itself really isn't fundamentally different than, a core line. It could be like maybe a different size, maybe, but it's not something that you get really excited for. Like when I look at a limited edition that I think works, I mean when we talk unique size, I mean, oh, here's a Gorbusto, some weird thing. Which, I mean, okay, it's unique. Maybe you don't really see a lot of those, but like there's some brands that do like a unique kind of figurados. I can get behind that, or like rare tobacco, like we mentioned. I can get behind that too, or even like just like a different something different. Like it could be a core line cigar with a like a different filler leaf. Like you put some maybe Pennsylvania in there instead of all Dominican. Like that's stuff I can get behind, but I have noticed the past few years, I think mainly, yeah, definitely since like the 22 trade show, is a lot of brands are releasing really like just the same thing. It's just a different box, really, or a different band.
And I'll tell you too, a lot of times, because Wayne, we're always all over the show. When we walk into a booth, like part of the initial conversation, it's not just what's new. It's like, what's your limited edition this year, without even knowing if they have one, because 7 out of 10 booths, there's a limited edition, and it's just like, what's your limited? And actually, we actually don't have one this year. It's like, oh, it actually kind of like, oh, all right. It's like you're not ready for it. I'm just ready here. Well, we have the new blah blah blah. We made 1,000 boxes. We use Peruvian tobacco. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. It's just like now it's just part of the repertoire.
You know what it is, Matt? Is literally in a lot of cases. I'm not saying this is the case for everybody who releases a limited edition.
Oh, of course, I agree.
It's an opportunity to increase sales for the core line products. So in most of the cases, you have to purchase XYZ of core line in order to get this limited edition or this special release or this particular Vitola, whatever it might be, right? And I get that. I get it. It's a great strategy. It works. I mean, retailers eat that alive. They eat it up. Sure, you want me to buy 10 boxes of whatever core line you have to get this one box of limited edition? Absolutely. They do it because they know their consumers are going to buy that limited edition, but they also do it because they know that they're going to get the residual sales from the core product for certain companies, right? I think it's a slippery slope if you're a brand new company and you start putting in limited editions, but you need to buy all this other stuff. Now a retailer's taking a flyer on you because they don't know if your core product's even going to sell. So it's a double-edged sword. As an example, with my prior company, right? People knew there was no question that Almaforte was going to sell. There was no question. There was no question that Alma de Fuego was going to sell. So they didn't mind buying this amount of product in core line in order to get this limited edition. It wasn't a problem. But for some smaller boutiques, as an example, if I were to do that same exact thing, we wouldn't have the same response to it, right? People would be a little bit more hesitant because we're a smaller company and it's just different, right? It doesn't. So I don't have any intention of doing that. We have a limited edition that we used to release a couple of times a year. I'm cutting it down to one, and I'm sure that you've smoked it, but it's the AFR.
Yeah.
And it's a San Andreas. It's a limited edition. The price point's a little bit higher, but we're doing that once a year. I have zero requirements that you order X amount of core product in order to get that. The reason why is I'd rather have it on the shelf. I'd rather have them buy that product than force them to buy 10 other SKUs that may be moving a little bit slower. So it's one of those things where you can play the game, and most companies will make you play the game. I'm looking to do it differently. We're looking at PDR like, okay, we're here for the retailer. I don't make you take. We have 70 facings, 75 facings. I don't make you take 25 facings in order to bring my product down. I'm happy with a couple of boxes. Give it a shot. It'll grow from there. And that's how confident I am in the products that we make. So we don't do that stuff. We don't have to do that stuff. But some companies, I get why they do it. It's a way to boost up slower moving products or other products that may not move quite as fast.
And the thing is like kind of like what you're talking about, like with when you were with Plasencia. Plasencia is a name that everybody knows. They've been around. They're a big company. Arguably, they're growing in manufacturing reputation. I think exceeds their brand. The brand is newer, but they've been making cigars for a long time. They're one of the old Cuban families. To your point, like you can get away with that, but it all goes back to why? Because they were able to build a reputation with their solid core line that allowed the company to grow to a point where they can play around with that. When you're a smaller company, even when that might be known, it's hard to do that. I mean, there's only maybe like 24 companies in the business that can just kind of get away with that just a little bit, like, I don't want to say easy, but easier, because just with all the moving pieces that they have and the way their business works and the reputation that they have, with their core product, they can get away with it. It's a little bit more difficult with a smaller company for so many reasons like we've been talking about. So for me, I think it kind of, to sum up that whole conversation, it kind of goes back to, you need to have a solid core line, because the core line is what really builds your reputation. It's what sells your name. It's what people know you for. The limiteds are like an accessory. But that core line, and I tell people all the time, the core line is what keeps the lights on. I mean, do you think that, Arturo Fuente pays the bills with Opus X? I mean, yes, but in the grand scheme of business, no. The Chateau Fuentes, the 858s, that's what pays the bills over there. That's their core line. That's what they make 20 million cigars of every year. That's what people are ordering. That's the stuff that, that you need to make sure is solid, and then you kind of do the other things. But, a lot of good points were made tonight, and we've had this conversation on this show, the other show, so many times. But it's good. I know for the average consumer, it might be a little useless, but I think a lot of people do find it interesting, because it's like, you kind of, at least when you walk into the cigar store and you buy stuff, you kind of like understand why you're seeing what you're seeing on the shelf too. It's not just like, oh, that's a cool cigar. You kind of understand it. I think it helps the average consumer to know kind of the other side of the business, because you kind of go in there a little bit more prepared to buy, because you could go into a cigar store and you might get a guy who's trying to push you on something, and it could be because they really bought into it, they want to make sure it moves. There's so many different reasons why, there could be so many reasons why, but I think it kind of helps you understand, like, what's going on behind the counter.
To that point, Matt, like, this period of time that we're in right now in the cigar industry, in this hobby, in this amazing industry, it's an incredible time to be a consumer.
Oh yeah,
incredible time to be a consumer, and it's one of those things where there really aren't a lot of companies that are producing bad cigars. I mean, the consumer knowledge has caught up to the point where you can't release a dog rocket anymore.
you can't fake it.
You can't fake it. It's either good or it's not. So it's an amazing time to be a consumer. On the flip side of that coin, it's a really difficult time to be a retailer. And because you have to go into a place like the PCA trade show and see 500 companies, and maybe you can only fit or bring in one new company this year, or you can only bring in a couple of SKUs of this new line for XYZ company. It's a really difficult time to be a retailer. So to that note, it's something I can say with passion and heartfelt, mean it. When a retailer opts to bring PDR into their humidor, we appreciate it. It's one of those things where we appreciate every single one of our retailers, because we know how difficult it is right now. It's the same reason I'm not shoving 20 facings down your throat to get the brand into the store, because we appreciate the opportunity to be in there. And I'm in humidors every day of the week. The number one thing that I hear is we don't have space right now. And that's because the industry is at a point where we're making incredible cigars that consumers love, and it's really difficult to be a retailer. So on that note, I just want to say thanks to all the retailers, but also to the consumers. Thank you guys for getting smarter and getting more in tune with what's happening in our industry, and listening to, things like the Smokin Tabacco show, because you're getting more knowledge. And I think knowledge is power, especially when you're selecting a good cigar.
Absolutely. And I want to kind of not just end that discussion, but move on to. I just looked at the time, and I'm like, oh wow, this has really flown by. I can't believe, sometimes you just don't realize how fast it goes. But we are at the point of the show where we're ready for our trivia segment, brought to you by Perdomo Cigars, featuring the 2024 Smokin Tabacco Cigar of the Year, the Perdomo 30th Anniversary Sun-Grown Epicure. Perdomo cigars stand for quality, tradition, and excellence. Pat, you are the resident trivia manager, so now I turn it over to you.
All right, I'm gonna focus on some NFL trivia. I think it's a good time of the year to start doing some football trivia.
Oh, I know Wayne's excited for this.
So the first, I'm going to try and make them difficult. So,
Let's go.
but still doable. So the first question is, what is the only NFL team that has never had a game end in a tie?
Ooh.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Ooh.
Can I ask a question? I don't think this will give it away, but is it like a more prominent team that's like, you know, or is it kind of like a not so prominent team?
I mean, I think they're in the middle of the pack.
Middle.
Like, you know what
It's
I mean
gonna
by
be-
that, right? Like not like the
Well, yeah,
Patriots,
they had
the
a
Steelers.
popular. I mean, they had a popular quarterback draft pick 3 years ago now. That was a big deal.
Oh, was it Jacksonville?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's good.
Yeah, so that gave it away. So here I am.
Yeah,
trying to make
you
it up.
fucked that up.
I mean, like, I don't know. You know, it's okay. This one, so I actually knew this one from like I think probably doing trivia at like the 99 in college. But which two teams combined for just one season in 1943?
Wait, say that again?
So which two football teams combined together for the 1943 season?
Meaning like they merged together?
They merged from one season.
Well, the obvious guess I think maybe would be Jets Giants, but
It's a
that's
good guess, but
probably
no,
that's probably too obvious.
It was just for one season?
one season.
In the 40s?
In the yeah, that's back there. That's pre Super Bowl era.
Yeah. Washington and Baltimore?
No.
Were they at
Okay.
least close to each other, or was it like Arizona and like fucking Green, like not Green, but you just know what I mean,
exactly.
like what are we
I mean, they're
talking
like-
here? Like,
I guess on like the map of all the teams, they're. I mean, I
Oh, wait a
consider
second.
them-
was it?
Now I'm going West Coast here.
We
I'm
have
going
one
West
from the
Coast.
audience. The audience has said, Uncle Larry, Pittsburgh and Cleveland.
Well, that's a good one too.
So one of those two teams. So Pittsburgh is one of the two teams.
Ooh,
Now
Oh,
I'm gonna give.
was
I'll
it?
give a hint.
Wait, is it Pittsburgh and Philly?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
JJ
so
chimed in and said the Steagles.
The Steagles. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I
Wait,
did not know that.
side note on that. Why did they do it? Was there like what was the reason?
Man, I asked the fucking questions here, dude. All right.
Well, now I'm just curious.
I don't know actually. That's a good question.
My guess with that would be that a lot of the boys had to go off to war.
That's actually true. Yeah.
That would be my guess. But now I'm gonna have to like chat GPT that
Mm.
and figure it out.
All right, what's the
This
next
one
one,
I would
Pat?
get wrong because I'm not a big statistic person here. But which team has the worst winning percentage in NFL history?
The worst.
The worst.
Oh,
The
in-
worst.
The overall.
Overall, yeah.
oh, in their history. Either the Jaguars or the Lions.
No.
Yeah. No?
No.
No,
Cleveland Browns?
no.
Now I'm really thinking.
They won a Super Bowl fairly recently, so
LA?
no.
No. Fairly recently, like in the last 20 years.
Is it Denver?
The last 5 years. No, not Denver.
I'm like, well, the last like the Chiefs have won a bunch. The Eagles have won a couple. I don't think it's the Patriots anymore.
No.
No,
There's
I don't
one
think-
team that you haven't mentioned that won a Super Bowl the past 5 years.
Wayne mentioned the Rams.
That's how memorable it was. I thought it was the Rams that won that Super Bowl.
It wasn't that memorable, but this is actually, if I say this, it'll give it away. Someone who played for the team is memorable.
Oh, is it Tampa?
Yeah.
Tampa.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. You know why? It wasn't memorable for the team. It was memorable for the quarterback. That's why. That's why.
Definitely the quarterback.
That's why everyone forgot about the team, because they were more focused on Brady. That was pretty good. I like that. That was fun.
Those are
NFL
good
trivia.
questions.
Yeah, those were good.
I'll throw in some hockey questions.
Oh, hockey. We should do that next week. Hockey. I like hockey.
Yeah, I can add that to the docket.
Yeah, make a note. Make a note. We'll rotate through all the different sports.
Because it's hockey season now, you know. First preseason game is next week.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
actually this weekend.
Yeah. Let's see what the Bruins do this year.
Hopefully they don't suck, because that's the team I get the most pissed off at, is the Bruins.
Dude, it's like they play like the greatest team of all time during the season, and then they get to the playoffs, and it's like amateur hour. It's like, it's like a beer league.
The entire year than them sucking the playoffs at this point.
Exactly. I'm still mad about 2019, but it's okay.
Yeah, I know.
I digress. Anyway,
It's also time for our news segment, brought to you by Micallef Cigars, featuring the new color series: black, blue, red, purple, green. Ask your local retailer today for Micallef Cigars. Right now it's Intertabac. Haven't gotten a lot of, I want to say, announcements for Intertabac, so it's mostly been domestic. Tatuaje, speaking of, going into the fall, Tatuaje, they've had a lot of releases this year. A lot of stuff's been going out more recently. A majority of the Corojo releases have started shipping, but coming in just a few more weeks, it's time once again for the Monster Series. That's right, and this year the Tatuaje Mummy Redux, or Redo, however you want to say it, is the fifth series of the Redux Monsters. The Tatuaje Mummy Redux is the 7.5 by 47 Nicaraguan Criollo over all Nicaraguan binders and filler. These are presented in a coffin-style cabinet box of 13, and will retail price remains at $13 per cigar. So ask your local retailer today for the Tatuaje Monster Series. It'll be hitting store shelves in the beginning of October. See, now, not to bring up the last conversation again, but this is where LEs work. It's an LE, but it's almost like a Coraline LE. Like it always comes out. It always has a theme.
same time every year.
Yeah, I mean, like that's how you do it. Like you got to give it to Pete. I mean, he's done a great job building that whole thing up. And it's crazy. He puts those things out and they fly off the shelf. It's crazy. But that's our news this week, brought to you by Micallef Cigars. So as we kind of get towards the end of the show, we start to wrap up the show. First of all, Wayne, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to come on the show with us and hang out with us, because I know you're a busy guy. I know you got a lot going on. So, it always means a lot that you take some time for us.
Anytime, my man. Anytime. You've this show has always been good to me over the years. I've been on, I don't know, maybe half a dozen times since the beginning, probably. And y'all have always been really good to me, whether it's at PCA or TPE, wherever you're at. It's always been great. So you guys are doing great work. Keep up the good work, and I appreciate the opportunity for sure.
It's a two-way street, so all the same back to you. Thank you very much. You've always been kind to us. So even in the beginning, when no one knew who we were, you were always good to us. So thank you. But that's pretty much our show this week, guys. Thank you all for listening and tuning in. If you're listening later on the podcast downloads, don't forget to like and subscribe, as well as on our YouTube channel. And as always, Head to smokintabacco.com for more news, reviews, and updates from the cigar industry. And with that, we say good night, and we'll see you Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern